The Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. It's nice to see everyone here. Item number 3 is the open forum. This is the board's listening session. Is there anyone that would like to address the board at this time? Anyone that would like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, which is celebrating our successes. We have 4 presenters tonight, and I'm going to ask the presenters to try to stay in the 5-minute range or so because we have a very long meeting. And I'll kind of work with that. And it worked well last time for the presenters to come up here and use my chair and microphone so that everybody could see and it shows up better on TV. So with that, Ellen Kerr in the Blue Zones. Probably stand if you want, or sit, wherever.
Just stand right here.
You just kind of have to talk into there.
Right, I have these certificates. Okay, thank you, Mark. All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope that I can communicate to you just how extraordinary this success is, and I will try to do that in 5 minutes. Tonight, we are going to celebrate the designation of 4 elementary schools. And what I'd like to start with saying is, you know, the Blue Zones school pledge is not an easy pledge by any stretch. And some of that's your fault, actually. No, it was built on the model, your experiences, your best practices from 2009. It was built on that. And then you continued to work on your initiatives. So added to the original school pledge were things like your model for healthy snack cards, your model for school walkathons, which is both the healthy snack cards and the school walkathons are highly esteemed by the schools, a different way of making money for the schools without school fundraisers. Just so many things that you did. Work in your vending machines, work on building policy into your district policies that address well-being on the part of all the students. A model for walking school buses, if schools choose that, because it's a menu of choices. So you built all of that, and schools around the country have been working on it. And you, in a matter of, I will say 9 months, 1 calendar school year, the level of achievement for schools is 25% of schools must designate for a community to be certified. In our case, that's 2 schools. That is how difficult the school pledge is. Tonight, as we celebrate, you will celebrate 5 schools in 1 calendar school year. I will tell you, I have not seen that achievement, and I don't anticipate seeing that soon. That is the bar is so high for that, and you achieved that. I see tonight as actually not your only night of success. You also have designated Brookside Education Center as a work site. You've done almost all of your work in work sites, including thank you to the principals. Every school that I went into achieved no less than 70% engagement on the part of the staff. The requirement is 25. You're at 75 as an average. Huge engagement. We are that far from 6 more work sites, and I will tell you that the high school is a Blue Zones school. The school policy committee chose to leave that school until next year. It worked well for new administration, et cetera. We want to do the best we can in every school, and for the high school, next year is the best year. So you will have another evening of success. I predict it will be 6 more work sites, 1 more school, and when that happens, you will have delivered the highest amount, 100%, in the 2 sectors that you can deliver in for our community. So in giving their certificates, I would like to thank the school board, because it starts with you, your dedication to the Blue Zones project for the schools and the community. I would like to thank Dr. Mike Funk and Chris Chalmers, who's in the back of the room. He's going to take a picture for us, for your leadership, helping the Blue Zone staff find a clear path to success for your schools. I'd like to thank Steve Kovac, who is not here tonight. Southwest Middle School, they were our champions. They led off this project, and they delivered the day of awesomeness. And I will tell you, that was an inspiration, not just for schools. It was an inspiration for our entire community, our city council, our work sites. Everyone talked about the day of awesomeness. And Mary Nelson, who I understand retired this week. She did a lot of work, 5, 6 years of work. She delivered a lot of the things that we needed in the Healthy Foods Committee. And then I would like to call up Nick and Karen, Ross, and Joanna, if you could come up here. These are elementary school principals, and they, along with all of their staff, all of their students, really, Nick, do you have your little ribbon there? All right. Okay. They delivered our elementary schools and did it in high fashion. This is, where's Ross? Here you are, here's Sibley. And Jefferson. Hawthorne. He's in order, and I didn't even know it. Yes. Thank you. Okay. We are going to take this ribbon. You want to come here and hold the ribbon? All righty. All righty. Hold this ribbon. Mark, can you hold the other side of the ribbon? All righty. Let's get a little tighter. Okay. You have to hold it tight, guys. Hold it tight. Okay. And I'll stand here. And we will cut this ribbon. Congratulations, schools. You are our champions. All right. Ready? All right. There you go. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Karen. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
I think that last thing I would like you to know is, really, you are creating this for our students, for our youngest residents in Albert Lea, and you are delivering the ultimate sustainability piece of not just the Blue Zones project, community well-being, because our young people, they are the ultimate sustainability piece, because they can count on us today. We'll be able to count on them tomorrow to keep our community strong, to keep all of this going on. And I thank you so much for your commitment.
Thank you for your commitment.
Good evening. I'm here with 3 of our fine students and Officer Ted Herman, who's our school resource officer. And they came to me in the fall and asked if they could do a program called Every 15 Minutes, and I will let Ted explain all the work and details they went into with it.
Oh, great. These students behind me came up to me and asked if we would perform the Every 15 Minutes program in September. Part of that, we told them that they had to dedicate 10 hours a week. Total group, I think there was 10 of us. Yes. Plus myself. Sam, if you want to talk a little bit and tell them what's going on. Go ahead. I was unprepared.
So with this, we would meet like Monday mornings before school, during advisory, whenever it would work. And then like random things would come up where we would have to go to Herman's office for lunch. And then Miss Haney would love that because we would miss choir. And then, so that was going on from about September to mid-March. And then after Hawaii, it got pretty serious of, all right, we still have this huge list to do, and it's a week away, the program. And so the meetings got more serious then. And then the actual day, I'll explain that. Well, every 15 minutes, there's an alcohol-related crash and somebody dies. And so every 15 minutes throughout the school day, a student would be taken out. They would be known of this. We had a meeting with their parents and stuff. And they would be taken out by a Grim Reaper. He would come out, say their name, and a police officer would read their obituary. So that would happen 15 minutes throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, there was a mock accident. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video that Matt Leverson has put together for us. And with that video, with the accident, Mayo 1 came, a student got airlifted. I was dead in the accident, so I didn't really see what was going on. But it was a pretty serious thing. The students seemed to take it pretty seriously. After the accident, everybody who died during the day and in the accident, we went to Country Inn and Suites and spent the night there. A counselor came in, talked to us about just decisions we make and like just stuff going on in the high school. And then the next day, we had an assembly, and what was the speaker that came? Rita
Shay.
Siha.
Siha.
We thought it was Shay, but it was Siha. So, and then she came and talked. Some parents talked, and that was the program.
Rita lost 5 people in a car accident, and 1 crash in the family. She was a really powerful speaker. And I just want to add that, I think we had 32 students involved in this. This core group was amazing. And they put a lot of time and effort in it, and they deserve any recognition that you're willing to give to them, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're on TV now, and not everybody might not know who you are, so let us know who you are.
I'm Gabriel Minear. I'm a senior. Okay.
I'm Sam Ellis, and I'm a junior.
I'm Justine Nelson, and I'm a sophomore.
And is this going to be repeated next year?
No.
It's every 4 years.
It's about every 5 years.
Every 4 or 5 years, okay, so, because I think I heard, we've done it before.
I've done it 4 times prior.
Okay, yeah.
It's so my sister's grade, which she's a 7th grade, will be going 8th grade, her grade would be the ones to do it again. Because you have a fresh batch of kids in the whole school. So
I'll be retired.
You'll be retired.
Thank you very much.
I do know from students who participated, who are watched the Grim Reaper, that it was very moving, a very good day for them to understand the consequences of their actions. So we thank the students for bringing it up, and Mark and Ted for helping orchestrate it. All right, the robotics demonstration. And this year we're going to hope that no one gets injured in the audience, because last year was there 3 people that we had to take out? So just... So Ken Fiskus. Ken, you want to tell us about the robotics team and kind of what we're up to here?
Go ahead and bring it up. This will be participatory. We'll have some school board members that are interested they'll be able to operate the robot. We've done it plenty. So you have some room back here, maybe they could do it. So we had 35 kids this year on our team. Go ahead and bring it up. So, if you're familiar at all with the robotics competitions, you won't recognize this robot because it's different every year. The challenge is changed and it's kept top secret. So, generally, the first or second Saturday of the new year, the international unveiling of the challenge is given, and you have 6 weeks to get it done. Okay, so this was built by our team from scratch. Okay, the basic components like the motors and the control system computer are reused year after year, but everything there that looks like we made it will never be used again. Okay, we could modify something, but that's intended as a leveler because new teams have a chance then to compete against veteran teams. This is our 5th year. Andrew, why don't you come on up? Anybody else of the team come up too? And we can hand off the control system to any willing victims. Bring up a tote or two. This year's challenge was to build a robot that under severe time pressure could stack and organize recycling bins like these that are being brought up. So our robot is a grappler. It's nicknamed Dex for dexterous. Okay. In celebrating success, in our 5th year, which is still a fairly young team, we competed at our second competition at Mariucci Arena against 60 other teams, and we ended up 13th, which is our highest we've ever. Those are teams that can come from anywhere in the country. So we're up against teams with probably 20-some years of experience, and we did very well. Very well. Somebody should take over the joysticks and run it a little bit.
Same thing, can you students introduce yourselves in the main microphone so everybody can see who you are?
My name is Andrew Huerta. I am going to be a sophomore.
I'm Bradley Anthony. I'm going to be a senior.
Okay. How about you two back here?
I am Brett Anthony, same grade as Andrew.
I'm Zane Sadowskis, going into 9th.
All right, thanks.
We have several of our members in Europe right now. I think they're in Greece, or no, they're in Italy. They'll be at the Vatican tomorrow. Okay, so please have them take over. Our time is limited. Somebody should take. You won't hurt anything.
Dave, you're the insurance guy.
What do I do?
Here, you go ahead and stand at the controls.
Would you like?
You can drive the robot.
Mike, you want to stand in front of it?
So, normal controls. Forward, backward, side.
Normal for teenagers.
I don't even know what this is. So what am I going to? How do I turn?
Your triggers.
You're gonna have 2 people run it? Andrew?
Yeah. I'll get
You
this
can
out of the way.
A competition round is about 2.5 minutes.
Excuse me.
And
Why don't you pick-
there
why
will
don't
be
you-
6
why don't you pick
robots
something up
running
there?
at once. They're all controlled wirelessly.
Here, you show us how to do it.
Andrew, go ahead and pick one up. We're the higher you can stack the totes, the more point value you have. The grappler 6 you see here has 250 parts in it. person. These are a lot more difficult to round. It's all nice and easy when you have no real You'll get it. So, we have 35 people on our team, 8th grade all the way to senior. About a quarter of our team is girls, so don't just think it's all guys. We try to make sure that people don't have that image, it's just kids that are good at video games, because we have kids that do all kinds of things. So, thank you very much.
That's impressive. Thanks for bringing it up.
Bradley, you want to help me with this? I want to grab this. The computer. Oh. And I'll have to roll that.
All right, Afton, thank you.
All right, thank you for having us. I'm going to do just a brief introduction to our golf team. I do have to say that on behalf of the girls golf team, they thank you for your support. However, they were unable to be here tonight. From babysitting to swim lessons to a lot of summer activities, they were not able. Very proud of our girls golf team. They were state participants this year as a team. Very young team. They have all of their returners back next year, so they're really looking forward to having another year of great success. Members of that team were Sam Nielsen, Natalie Nofsker, Sarah Rasmussen, Bailey Sandin, Kayla Jensen, and Emma Locke. So again, big congrats to them. Their head coach is Sean Reeby, and assistant coach is Josh Johnson. Do a great job with the girls. They have a lot of fun. I was able to go up to the first day of the state tournament. It was a 93-degree day that day. The girls were playing in the afternoon, so they had a tough go. But again, returning some great girls, great all-around student athletes, so we're really proud of them. I will hand this off to our boys team. They were able to bring 3 of their golfers to the state tournament this year. Head coach Casey McIntyre and assistant coach Max Jeffrey. And I will let them kind of give you a lowdown on how they did the season.
Thank you, Afton. I had my wife and I had twin girls 5 weeks ago, so I have a hard time remembering anything for more than a couple of seconds, so I wrote it all down. Just in order for you to maybe grasp a little more firmly the magnitude of these boys going to state, I just wanted to tell you about the season a little bit, because the celebration should be not only these 3 going to state, but the whole team having a very successful season. We ended the season with an overall record of 43-16. That sounds like a very large number for a high school sport, but it is when you go to tournaments that have 16 teams. Those numbers can rack up quickly. Our conference record, including the Big 9 conference tournament, was 15-6, which we went into the conference tournament with an overall record of 9-2. Some of you, hopefully, some of you know, maybe some of you don't, but the Big 9 conference actually has 12 teams. So that would be the reason for our 9-2 record. The way it works is then that 9-2 record is added to our placement in the conference tournament, which we actually placed 5th in the conference tournament, which put us in an overall conference place of 3rd for the season, which was great. We went into our section meets. We have a subsection meet where we took 2nd place, which was enough to move us on to the section meet. And in the section meet, we took 2nd place again, which unfortunately did not allow us to go to state as a team. Only 1 team from each section goes to state. But the top 5 individuals that are not on the state team get to go as individuals. And we had 3 of those 5, which shows you how close we were to actually winning the section title. We had 3 all-conference golfers. Brady Locke, Alex Severson, and Sam Chalmers were the all-conference golfers. And then Brady Locke, Alex Severson, and Jack Pulley, which they will introduce themselves in a moment. They were all state tournament qualifiers. And I'm just super proud of the guys. The second places that we took at our section tournaments were both to Mankato East, and just so you know, they were, state champs. So, kind of says the level of competition in our section. Co-state champs, right? With the Blake School, yeah. Sorry, it was it's like the Ohio State, and we just add the word "the" to it. So yeah, I'm just super proud of the boys. It's been obviously, as I mentioned, with twins arriving in the middle of the season, it's been a little bit of a challenge in terms of being everywhere I wanted to be when I could. But these guys were able to stay focused and, follow through. So go ahead, introduce yourselves. You guys can say anything else you want. I'm sure you want to talk a lot.
No, not at all. Brady Locke, and I was a senior.
I was a senior.
I'm Alex Severson. I will be a senior.
I'm Jack Pulley, and I was gonna be a senior. And I'll just say, some days at the golf course, I'd rather be doing a math test than playing. So it is out there.
Oh yeah, we have a robot. We just
So anyway, these guys, yeah, they were the backbone of the team. For those of you that don't know, this is only half of the varsity team. Varsity team consists of 6 players. So we sent half our guys to state, which is great. Next year we're going to win it as a team, though. There's no doubt.
For sure.
Right? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It's great to see the students in so many different areas excelling, and we appreciate the chance to get to interact with them. And then while we're on successes, so Gabe, this is your last meeting, is that right? Okay, I was mistaken last time. So I just wanted to thank you for being an outstanding school board student member. In many ways, one is that you show up almost every week. I know you're busy doing other things, but you made the commitment, and then when you're here, you participate. And both of those are hard to do, and so I know that we've all valued your opinion and your participation, and we wish you nothing but success.
I just want to thank the opportunity to actually be on school board. It has been a really great experience, and I will value what I've learned here. Thank you.
All right, item 5, approval of today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? So moved. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 6, consent items. Is there a motion to approve the consent?
Couple comments before the,
Yes.
go ahead and do the
Yep.
motion, I guess.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Okay, motion approved and seconded. Discussion, Dr. Funk.
Two things. One of them you have in front of you, that this didn't get on the attachment. The proposed pass rates for 2015, 2016 of significance. The senior music rate is going to be going down from $7 to $5 for senior citizens to attend music events. And the other thing of significance is the free and reduced rates, or the reduced rate is going up $3. So where it was 24, it's now 27, et cetera, across the board there. For the individual, and the max has gone up $6 for free students, gone up $12 for family. So that's the only change there. Questions on that? Okay, the other thing, Heidi, you want to go and pop up the PDF there? This is a procedural requirement. Again, we didn't get this in the packet. Just scroll through it quick, Heidi. This is the health and safety policy. It's on the books. We're just required to, at a board meeting, approve it on an annual basis, or reapprove it on an annual basis. That's it.
Any questions about either of those two items? Dave, do you have a comment about item 6.1?
Yeah, I'd just like to abstain from the vote on that since I am part of the hiring list.
Okay, thank you. So there's been a motion and a second, so all in favor of approving the consent items, aye? Aye. Anyone opposed? And Mr. Cloud abstains for the record. All right, item 7.1, Superintendent Report, Dr. Funk.
Okay, so that's what the orange looks like. I'm trying out these new PowerPoint colors to see how they look on the screens here. Go ahead and put it in present mode, Heidi. Yep. Thank you. All right, this is now the law. I've talked about the education bill for a number of months. This is now law as of this weekend. Impact on finances for the school district. Our pupil formula was going to go up 1.5% and 2%. It has now gone up 2% and 2%. So in dollars, we received from the state of Minnesota in 2015-16, we're going to receive on the basic formula $5,948 per student. This is an increase of $117 over current funding. It's going to go up another $119 per student in 2016-2017. So that's good news for school districts. Very good news for Albert Lea. The compensatory pilot dollars were slashed by 2/3 before the governor vetoed the budget. As a result of his veto, the compensatory pilot dollars have come back to the full amount. So that the impact of the governor's veto was an increase to our budget of about $320,000. So that was a real positive. We also, as I talked about in January or February, we're pushing to get alt facilities revenue so we can levy at the local level if we need to. Dollars for facilities that need repair. And Laura, you can explain at some other point to the board, you don't have to do it tonight, but what an adjusted pupil unit is. But that shows you what we'll be getting. We can levy up to $193 per APU in 16-17, $292 in 17-18, and $380 in 18-19. And again, the benefit here is these will not be coming out of the general dollars that we could use for other things. It's a positive for most of the school districts throughout the state of Minnesota. Prior to that, it was the top, the biggest 25 districts had the ability to do this. The other thing, and you're going to be hearing from Jenny Hansen and Chris Chalmers here in a little bit, there was an increase of $48 million statewide to early childhood scholarships. And so I don't know what Albert Lee's piece of the pie there is yet, but we're going to see a significant increase to that and another $30 million statewide for school readiness. And so Chris and Janie are going to come up here in a minute and talk to you about plans for that. So that's, I think, a positive for the district as well. Policy changes, 3 areas really that are important to this district that we've been talked about. Teacher license. Candidates almost pass a skills exam. They used to say you could get a certain score on the ACT or the SAT. That's no longer an alternative. But if you can't pass the test, they will provide a restricted license, the Board of Teaching. Or if we have an area we're very short in teachers on, in a specific area, we can get a 2-year provisional license for some teachers. And as I've talked about previously, career and technical education instructors are now exempt from the licensure requirements until 2020. So if we have somebody who's a community expert in something in the career and tech ed, they can come in and teach our students. They just have to apply for a license through the Board of Teaching. Testing, ACT is no longer mandatory. So it was mandatory for 1 year. Now it makes a national recognized college entrance exam optional. So we have to provide it, okay, and it can be the SAT or the ACT. And we have to give the test upon student request, and it's got to happen during the school day. So I don't know how we're going to work through that yet. We'll probably pick a day when we're going to do testing, and kids will have to let us know what they want to take. There's going to be a new MCA high school writing test. That's going to be coming into effect. They haven't planned it yet. The Explore, the Plan, those are 2 tests we give to the 8th grade and the 10th grade. ACT's not giving them anymore, so they've done away with them, so the state has eliminated them from the testing requirements. And local tests can only be 1% of instructional hours. And Mary, we talked about this, what is it, 20 hours, or what, do you remember what we talked about? Yeah. Okay. So that's their attempt to limit testing. And the calendar issue, basically districts had to go every 3 years to get their calendar approved. Now they're good until 2020, and if new districts want to get it approved, they can apply, and they have to be answered within 45 days. And the other thing on the calendar, and this is kind of crazy, this late in the ball game, but the legislature said, oh, by the way, school can start before September 1st this year. So I think 90-some% of the districts already have their calendars planned, but now the legislature said that because of the late Labor Day. Questions on any of those things? Finally, I just want to say, and they're sitting behind each other tonight, tonight is going to be Ross and Mary's last board meeting, and I want to publicly recognize them for I don't know, many years of service as English teachers and administrators in the district. So, thanks, guys. That's it.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Mike? No? Gabe, you have anything to report?
We had graduation. I got my diploma, but we got our diplomas. That's pretty much all I have to report.
I just wanted to, a couple weeks ago, I had the honor to accompany Jim Queerum up to the, is it 133rd Minnesota Air Guard for a day, 3/4 of a day, and get to see what they do. And as an employer, how important that is for the district to support any of our employees that are part of the National Guard and the wonderful things that they do. And so we got to meet a lot of people, got to get a tour of their STEM school, which is called Starbase, and see some of the curriculum that they have, and then got to sit in a flight simulator and flew down to Arkansas a few times and back. But it's just a wonderful experience to understand fully the importance of the National Guard and what they do for emergencies. And I don't think people realize, I think it was last spring that group of individuals flew humanitarian rescue to the Iraqis that were trapped up on a mountain when ISIL had them surrounded. That was our people from St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Jim's job is to keep those people healthy. And so it was a fascinating experience in how teamwork is and how important that is and why it's important for us to support their time away. So thanks for inviting me, Jim. Anybody else? Other reports? Okay, 8.1, the ATPPS Annual Report, Jackie Cromwell-Olson. Jackie?
Good. Oh, nice. Okay, good evening. I'm Jackie Cromwell-Olson. I am the ATPPS District Coordinator. This is my first year in this position. Previous to that, I served as a building coordinator at Southwest for 4 years. So I've been a part of the program as a coordinator for 5 years total. I teach science at Southwest the other half of the day. So it's a half-time position, and I teach 7th grade science. So thanks for having me tonight. Let's see here, just want to kind of clarify what ATPPS is, because of course when it comes out really fast. And Alternative Teacher Performance Pay System. The state recognizes that as a QComp program. So you might hear it called that. We call it in Albert Lea ATPPS. That's just our name for it. Its intent is to provide staff development and to increase student achievement. Where the money comes from, it's about an $850,000 budget, and it comes from 2 sources. $169 is per student from the state, and then 88 per student from local levy, which is 257 per student. So that's and that's always based on October 1st from the prior year. It's been 10 years since we have participated in the ATPPS program in Albert Lea area schools. This is actually next year's criteria. This year's is just a teensy bit different in terms of dollar amounts. Every year we have to adjust the budget slightly due to salary differences and things like that that just, play a part in the budget. So this year, you can see it broken down there. I don't need to go through it, but you can see the parts of it is what I'm going to explain a little bit too here in just a few moments. But we have a building goal. Each teacher has an individual goal. We have observations that teachers complete each year, and then we have our PLC work. And these numbers were chosen a few years ago as a result of the state telling us that our PLC, that bottom component, could not be more than the first two combined. See that? So that's why we have those little bit of those numbers there that explain. ATPPS building goals, they're generally set on MCA data. They come with pretty high expectations. Buildings do set them, but they expect great things. A lot of times, it's impressive to see what they're going for. When a building does not meet their goal, 132, so when I go back to the previous screen, you can see, this is next year's, that's why I said it's a teensy bit different. So you see $130 is what a teacher would get paid for next year. But if we don't meet our building goal, that money goes back to the building for staff development uses. So this coming year, if a building doesn't make it, each teacher in that building, or I shouldn't say it's each teacher, it's each FTE, that building receives $132 for staff development funds. An example of one here, I know it's really tiny for those in the back. I'll read it to you. Here's an example of a building goal. The percent of all students enrolled October 1 in grades 6 and 7 at Southwest Middle School who earn an achievement level of meets the standards or exceeds the standards on the MCA reading, which is all the accountability tests, so that would be modified and any other versions, will increase from 50.4 in 2014 to 60 in 2015. A lofty goal. I think it was reasonable, but we, like I said, we're setting high expectations, that we're not just setting this bar low and we get our money. So you can see our preliminary data right now at Southwest is 51. The two programs that we are assuming have met their goal, the data is preliminary, we'll know officially in the fall. Early childhood special education and Sibley Elementary. Individual growth plan, each teacher needs to write a growth plan, and a part of that, the majority of that growth plan is what's called a SMART goal. And a lot of them have been, this is the thing I want to celebrate tonight, is the collaboration that teachers have been doing in the past few years compared to, I think, many other years, is that, like this is my goal, for example, 76% of 7th grade science students will be proficient, which we decided was 80%. So on a test, somebody would get 80% or better to be proficient on the 2014-2015 common summative assessments, which means pretty much chapter tests. So whether my students, it's a combination, it's my students, it's Mr. Ware's students, it's Ms. Stockwell's students, it's all of our students together will achieve that goal, which ultimately leads to collaboration. We're working together, those are our kids. 91% of the teachers in the district met their individual growth plans. The other part, another component of ATPPS is the observations. Each teacher is required to do 3 per year. There's a rubric. It requires a pre and a post conference, so a meeting before the observation takes place and then a meeting after the observations. And most of the building coordinators complete those observations. These are not the administrative evaluations that are done. So that's a lot of what, when you think about what a building coordinator does, this is a lot of what takes up their time, because for each teacher it's 3 per year. Now there are a few who might be in cycle, which means that they would be having an administrative evaluation that year. That one counts. They don't have to do 4 then. So there are a few. And then the other thing that we've been doing that's been really kind of exciting is one of the observations can be what we call a PLC observation. So the actual observer observes the PLC in action, and we have a special rubric for a PLC working together, which of course a lot of those elements involve working together, looking at student data, implementing strategies that are effective. And so that's been a real benefit to the PLC process, is that PLC observation. PLC work is Wednesdays from 7:30 to 8:15, but I have to say it doesn't stay there, which is a celebration. Right now it's happening because it's just what we do. And I think teachers are starting to catch on to that this is not just something we do on Wednesday mornings from 7:30 to 8:15. This is how we run our business. This is what we do. We collaborate together. We do, we share, and a lot of the ways it's being done is during staff development days, so that money you're seeing goes back to each building. We'll pay for time for teachers to collaborate together frequently during the school day or outside of the school day. Data days is something that a lot of the elementaries are doing. They're collaborating, taking an interventionist and the classroom teacher and really looking at making sure kids are placed where they should be. And then the work, and when it comes to a PLC's work, it does vary on what the PLC is, if it's a grade level or content area or nurses or counselors, because they're also all on PLCs. So the work can vary depending on what the PLC is and how many people make up that PLC. We probably go from, there's even some that might be only 2 or 3 people in a PLC to some that are up to 10, maybe 12. And they often, if they're a large PLC like that, they'll break into subgroups. So that's, any questions or?
How much time do you have before achieving a goal, or how far ahead do you set them? I noticed one was an October date for that large Southwest goal.
So it's set in September, usually September. The principals and the teachers work together to pick a goal. I know when we looked at Southwest, it was 60%, and that was because the state would like us by the year 2020 or 2018 to be at 80% proficiency. So to get there, that would be the formula we need. The other thing too is we've looked closely at state averages and said, you know, we're not average, we're not below average, we should be above average. And I think, so that's been a conversation too, is kind of where state average is, although that's a moving target, you know. But so in October, or September, October, it's set, but it's just based on the students who are enrolled in school on October 1st. So if somebody joined in January, they wouldn't be included on that goal. Now, of course, we still test them, we still, you know, but it's just because of kids moving in and out of the district. It always is set on October 1st. That's very typical. What else can I tell you about that? I don't know. Does that clarify? Okay, yeah. So the goal is at the end of the year, that we'll achieve this by the end of the year, but it's the students that we had on October 1st. Yep. For a class, for me in particular, I've never, as a classroom goal, you know, as my own IGP, I've never considered that. You know, a few kids go, a few kids leave, but for the building goals, it's usually typical that it says October 1st. Mm-hmm.
Other questions? And this has been your first year as coordinator?
This is my first year as the district coordinator,
Okay.
yep.
And you're doing it next year?
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
great.
yep.
Okay. Other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item 8.2, the early childhood programming for next school year. Chris and Jenny.
Well, thank you for having us here tonight. Jenny's just going to pass out a document. On behalf of Community Ed and our Early Ed program, I want to thank the school board and Dr. Funk for your support of early education in our school district. Research proves it, and we continue to do more and more for early ed, but it comes with your support. And a couple examples of it we're going to outline tonight, but based on anticipated funding from the state, and we haven't seen the numbers yet, how it's going to impact our local programming, and with more space open in Brookside, Jenny and her staff have put together some options to serve all our families. So while we don't have universal pre-K in any community, but we want to have universal options for many families in our district. Currently, in our program, we're serving over 115 four-year-olds about, and only about 15% of them pay the full fare. Most of our students are on sliding fee scales and qualifying for scholarships, so we really look at the scholarship benefit being a huge bonus for our community. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny and just talk about some of the new options with our added space and new challenges to create preschool options for our community.
Okay. Like Chris said, thank you so much for having us tonight to be able to talk a little bit more about early childhood. What you have in front of you is a brochure that we developed as a part of learning about the increased space opportunities here at Brookside. And then along with that, some of the other barriers that families have in attending early childhood programming, and most of that is centered around being able to get them here. And so that's where we came up with the idea of what's called wraparound childcare, which just kind of is exactly what it sounds like. It wraps itself around the preschool programming so that parents who maybe choose like a morning option could drop off a little bit earlier so that they could get them here prior to their workday, and that child would then transition from childcare right into their morning preschool program, and then they would have to have an option for picking them up, let's say at 11 o'clock when their morning class ends. And then for someone who chooses an afternoon option, if they could get them here at the 12 o'clock time frame, they're able to let them stay longer. After that session ends at 2:30, they're able to let them stay here until 5:45 in the afternoon. And then we also are very excited to be able to offer an opportunity for people to choose an all-day option. So if they wanted their preschooler to attend for 5 days of preschool programming, they would also have the wraparound piece, but it would be that morning as early as 6:15, transition into preschool at 8:30, have their child in preschool until 1:30, and then have an option, a couple different options, from 1:30 to 5:45 to keep them here all day. So it's 11 and a half hours available to them for both childcare and preschool programming. And that would be a 5-day-a-week program. So what this brochure kind of just outlines is some of what we did as far as looking at our programming and being able to include that wraparound piece in there. I think that we worked really hard at keeping it a very reasonable price tag attached to it. If you're the family that is choosing to pay for this or is not on the sliding fee scale or don't qualify for scholarships, I think it's a very reasonable option. I think you